What's up, everyone? Welcome to Mad Blood. If you're a fan of all things horror like I am, especially slasher movies from the 80s, then make sure you subscribe because there is plenty of that kind of stuff around here. So recently, I saw an article from a company named Dread Central, essentially comparing the 2009 Friday the 13th movie and the original movie. And the title of the article goes like this: Friday the 13th, 2009 outdoes the original in almost every way. And it kind of got me thinking a little bit about the slander that I constantly hear about and constantly see about the original Friday the 13th movie. And I kind of want to talk about that a little bit, dive into some stuff about the 2009 movie, some comparisons with them, and just my overall thoughts on the original Friday the 13th movie now. And I just want to say first off the bat, I don't know a lot about Dread Central. I've looked at their stuff and it looks like they do a lot of cool work with movies and especially horror stuff, which is awesome. The article that was written was an opinion article. So no shade towards that person or towards the website at all whatsoever. I think the article was great. I agree with a lot of things that were said in the article, somewhat agree with some of the stuff that was said in the article. And overall, I just think it was a good article. And I think they made some valid points. But I just wanted to kind of talk about it and kind of talk about, like I said, the overall just slander that I constantly hear and see about the original Friday the 13th from 1980. So, I mean, and I get it. To a lot of people, the original Friday the 13th is slow, especially at some parts, the coffee scene, etc. And I get it. The characters, it's an early 80s, low-budget slasher movie. The characters are either very early in their acting career, early Kevin Bacon, and some of the other characters. So you're not really going to get these seasoned acting professionals across the board. Pamela Voorhees, that's a different story. But overall, with most of the characters, I get it. And I also understand the big kind of gripe with the original Friday the 13th movie that I hear a lot of people talk about is not introducing the killer earlier on, just early enough in the movie to kind of create the typical whodunit aspect that we're used to seeing, where you can kind of have a better shot at guessing who the killer is because you saw the killer at some point earlier on in the movie. Now, I mean, not to kind of split hairs here, but we technically did see the killer a couple times before they were revealed. If you kind of pause it and zoom in, you can kind of get some hints there. But still, I get what you're saying, and I totally understand it. And I've talked about this in another video. I do think they should have introduced Pamela Voorhees a little bit earlier on in the movie, maybe as a cook, somebody who kind of maybe just passes by the camp to kind of say like, oh, I didn't know there was some new people coming into town to kind of reinvigorate the camp. And coming across as someone who you would never, ever guess as doing what they do later on in the movie. I think that would have been very, very effective, and I think that would have made the reveal even better. So I 100% agree with that. But still, I still love the mystery of the killer in the original 1980 movie. And one of the benefits of it is the fact that the rest of the franchise, we don't really get that, because in the rest of the franchise, it becomes just a Jason killing showcase and all the other glorious shit that we get to, it goes into a Friday the 13th movie. Love the franchise. I'm a huge, huge fan of the franchise for sure. But there's something about the mystery in the original Friday the 13th that is just so fun for me. And yes, it is flawed with the whodunit aspect. I get that. But still, in a lot of first movies and franchises, Scream, Nightmare on Elm Street, etc., you know, you have that mystery just built in because it's the first movie. Nobody's ever seen this IP. Nobody really knows probably what's going to unfold, essentially. Obviously, walking into the 2009 movie, you probably could have guessed what is going to go down, essentially. And the 2009 movie, if you haven't seen it, isn't necessarily a remake of the original. It's kind of an encapsulation of the first four movies, which is amazing. I also want to say I'm a huge fan of the 2009 Friday the 13th movie. Love that movie. But yes, of course, it's very different than the original. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about a little bit today. So that was a big gripe, obviously, for a lot of people with the original 1980 movie. And that's a big gripe. That was a gripe that was mentioned in the article as well. So I want to talk about that. So I also do want to say, though, like some people come across with the 2009 movie And they kind of give you that vibe of this movie is just probably going to be more enjoyable to most people because it's more modern. It's more of a modern, bloody flavor. It's, a better looking movie, you could say, in more of a modern way, just technically a better movie, in some ways and things like that. But in my opinion, and I think a lot of you will agree with me, the 2009 movie is definitely not everybody's cup of tea either. It's a very early 2000s type of a feel. To me, I love that because part of it is because it has nostalgia for me, and I'm just a sucker for early 2000s, mid 2000s, whatever you want to call it, horror in general. It's got that feel. It's like Hostel, it's like a Euro trip, like college kid nudity. We're going to smoke weed, have a good, whatever. It's just that type of a feel. It's a little bit silly at times. They throw in characters that you just really hate and you want to see get killed on purpose. They write them that way. It's just got that feel to it. You know what I mean? And I enjoy the characters in the 2009 movie. But overall, the 2009 movie, to me, though, like I said, is not going to be everybody's cup of tea. It's got that certain feel to it that other movies in the franchise don't necessarily have. And yes, you could say like pretty much every movie in the franchise kind of encapsulates its era in a way, and not everybody loves those eras. So I get it. But still, to me, as far as like what you're necessarily going to enjoy, I don't think the 2009 movie has a leg up on the original because they're just different eras. So it's going to be different flavors for different people. I'm a huge fan of early 80s slashers, late 70s, early 80s. It's just amazing. The look of them, the grittiness of them is just so hard to replicate with modern movies. Now, cinematographer Daniel Pearl, who I'm a huge fan of, he did the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Friday the 13th 2009 movie, the Texas Chainsaw remake. Love the way he makes his movies look. Huge fan of his. Shout out to Daniel Pearl too. He also sent me a signed photograph a few months ago. Love that. That was awesome. But anyways, he did a great job nonetheless with the 2009 Friday movie. Just the way it looks and just kind of the colors and the grittiness of it. Obviously, it's not going to look like a legitimate movie from 1980, but I still love the way the 2009 movie looks. But man, there is just something so perfect to me about the look of an early 80s low budget slasher that is like damn near impossible to replicate. Now, I will say, I love the work that Ty West and his team did with X, replicating that kind of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 80s, 70s slasher horror movie type of a vibe. I love what they did. But usually it's pretty damn impossible to replicate that look. So there's something about the original Friday the 13th, as far as the look goes, for me personally, that I just love. And back to the characters, which is kind of a good pivot to what I was just talking about. The characters are so different from the 2009 movie. Like I said, the 2009 movie are kind of like those college kids on a Euro trip, doing all kinds of crazy shit. Whereas the 1980 movie, the original Friday the 13th, feels like you're actually watching real young teens or kids or whatever in the early 80s. They feel very real to me. Yes, the acting at times is a little bit dicey, but I don't really think it's that bad. I think our final girl is enjoyable. I think the characters overall do a good job. The kills, we haven't even talked about the kills, but obviously the kills in the 2009 movie are great. It's the 2000s, so there's a lot of blood, a lot of kills, a lot of gore, amazing kills in the 2009 movie. But the kills in the original are also, in my opinion, underrated. They are so damn good. I mean, we get Tom Savini there doing great work throughout the movie. And it's just, that is definitely on point for me. But I mean, it's just there's also some stuff that I want to talk about. In the article, they mention that a lot of people that like the Friday the 13th movie and still say, whether it's on YouTube or just to their friends, they still say that they really love the original Friday the 13th is because they have kind of the nostalgia blinders in a way, is what the article essentially says. And I get it. That is obviously true. A lot of people, that was their first slasher movie, their first horror movie, the first movie that their parents didn't know that they were watching. And they were like, holy shit, this is crazy. And they have nostalgia for that and always will. But I think there is a huge portion of the fan base of the original Friday the 13th movie that just loves it for what it is. An early 80s, low budget, gritty slasher movie that is the scariest movie in the Friday the 13th franchise to me. And I almost don't even think that's a debate. I think the debate, if you could make one, is between the first and the second movies as far as the scariest in the franchise. Now, and I know a lot of the franchise, they weren't even going for a scary tone. I understand that. But still, there's something to be said about a movie that has some legitimate eeriness and creepiness and scariness to it in the horror genre. Like, that's amazing. It's just amazing also that we have a Friday the 13th movie that is legitimately kind of scary. I love that. I love that we have schlocky, funny ones. We got Jason in fucking space. We've also got scary ones that are gritty and not silly. I love that we have that diversity in the franchise, which is amazing. Another positive there for the original Friday the 13th. So that's just something there. That was also mentioned in the article about the blinders. And I get it. Totally true. I totally agree with that in a lot of ways. And there's also something to be said about the original Friday movie and the 2009 movie as far as the budgets go. And as we all know nowadays, it's 2024. This is more apparent than ever, pretty much, that a bigger budget movie by no means that the movie will be better or even more well-made, more well-made than a movie with a lower budget. We just saw Godzilla -1, a movie made for, I think, 15, 20 million. And it looks way better than a lot of movies we've seen recently made for $200 million. We live in an era, unfortunately, of especially superhero movies that get pumped out for, these $100 million, $200 million budgets, and the CGI doesn't even look good. You're like, what is going on here? I saw better CGI in Jurassic Park in the 90s. What year is this? Holy shit. But obviously with the 2009 Friday movie, the budget is bigger. And the script is, probably, it's just a more well done script. The movie, on the surface looks better. It's shot with better equipment. The lighting is more unique and stuff like that. They use more advanced lighting techniques in certain scenes and fog and, et cetera, et cetera. But to me, like I kind of touched on a second ago, there is just something perfect. And it encapsulates what I love about slashers in the genre with the original Friday the 13th movie. Like, you can just put that movie on and look at it and be like, yep, that right there, that is one of the biggest reasons I love 80s slashers and one of the biggest reasons I became a horror fan to begin with. It's that look, that feel, that vibe. It's not too fast-paced. It's not like these quick edits and blood and gore everywhere. No, it's got some creepiness to it, some ambiance to it. There's some scenes that, yes, most people would probably say are slower, but I don't know. It just adds to that kind of vibe of the movie in a sense. And that's just something, a budget doesn't make that necessarily. It comes down to the creativity. And sometimes it's by accident because the budget is so small, which obviously we saw with the original Texas Chainsaw as well. But I love that about it. And again, I'm a huge fan of the 2009 Friday movie. Huge fan. I love it. I love the portrayal of Jason. I love the kills. The characters are fun. There's characters you want to see get killed. Thanks to, like I said, Daniel Pearl, the movie looks amazing. And I just really, really enjoy it. Definitely. And Marcus Nispel, the director, really enjoy his work, on the Texas Chainsaw remake and the Friday movie. Love what he does. Love what he did with the 2009 movie. But like I said, the original Friday the 13th, I'm just kind of a little bit sick of seeing the slander towards it. It's slow, it's boring, it sucks. It's never it's never anyone's favorite movie in the franchise. And I'm just here to say once again, that is just not true. There's a lot of people out there that just love this movie. And it's not just because nostalgia. And I'm one of them. I did not, this wasn't the first horror movie I ever saw. You know, I didn't watch this movie in the 80s, but it's just a gritty, mysterious, scary, bloody, and great part of the franchise. And very unique because the rest of the franchise is Jason, 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 Jason. But this movie, obviously, there's basically no Jason. But yet it still like holds its own amongst a lot of the movies, in my opinion, in the franchise. Even though it's so unique, other than the fact that it's set at a summer camp and the name Voorhees is tossed in there. But yes, everybody. So the 2009 movie, love that movie, love the original. But again, I just wish the original Friday the 13th would get more love. I think it's almost underrated at this point, which is crazy. Because it's a movie that is very cozy to me. It's got great kills, great vibes, a great like early 80s slasher look to it, a great setting. Characters are fun, and I just love it. Let me know down in the comments down below if you agree with me, if you think I'm an idiot, if you are kind of in the middle, if you're also a fan of the original Friday the 13th, let me know down below. More Friday the 13th videos coming very, very soon, so make sure you subscribe and, turn on notifications for that kind of thing, whatever. But anyways, everybody, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.